Hannah sat on the sofa holding her 1-month-old daughter, listening to the clattering of pots and pans coming from the kitchen. "Hannah, dinner is ready." Her mother-in-law came out carrying a steaming bowl of pork rib soup. "Drink more soup, it's good for lactation." "Thank you, Mom." Hannah forced a smile. This was her 30th day at home after giving birth. Apart from the daily routine of feeding, changing diapers, and putting the baby to sleep, all she did was listen to her mother-in-law ramble on about various parenting tips. Her husband Ben, on the other hand, had rarely come home since the baby was born, always claiming he had work to do at the office. "Ben isn't coming home for dinner again today?" asked the mother-in-law with a frown. "He said he has an important client to talk to." Hannah looked down at her daughter in her arms, whose tiny face was wrinkled and about to cry. The mother-in-law sighed, "Men are like that. Once they have children, their responsibilities become even heavier, and they have to work hard to support their families. You have to understand him." Hannah nodded, but she felt indescribably wronged. Ben had been good to her for 3 years. Every day after work, the first thing he did was hug her. He would cook brown sugar water for her when she was on her period and remember every important date. But ever since she became pregnant, he has started to become distant. At first, she thought it was because he was worried about the baby, but now the baby is a month old, and the distance between them is growing. Daughter Yen started crying, and Hannah skillfully began to comfort her. Just then, the doorbell rang. "It must be Ben back," said the grandmother, hurrying to open the door. But it wasn't Ben who came in. It was a young woman in a business suit, carrying a fancy gift bag. "May I ask who you are?" the old woman asked in confusion. "Hello, I am Mr. Ben's secretary, Leah. Mr. Ben asked me to bring some supplements to his sister-in-law and baby." Leah has a sweet voice and a very pleasant smile. Hannah looked up at the woman. She was about 25 or 26 years old, pretty, with a good figure, and her eyes always seemed to be smiling when she spoke. "You're too kind. Please have a seat," the old woman greeted her warmly. Leah walked up to Hannah and placed the gift bag on the coffee table. "Sister-in-law, this is bird's nest and donkey hide gelatin that Mr. Ben specially selected for you. He said it's very good for postpartum recovery." "Thank you," Hannah forced a smile. "Where's Ben?" "Mr. Ben is still discussing a project with a client at the company and may not be back until late. He asked me to apologize to you on his behalf and say that he has been extremely busy lately." Hannah felt a sharp pain in her heart. He was so busy that he didn't even have time to go home and see his wife and children, yet he had time to have his secretary deliver gifts. "Mr. Ben is such a good boss, still working so late," praised the mother-in-law. "Yes, Mr. Ben is very responsible and often works late into the night. Sometimes I feel sorry for him and urge him to go home early to rest, but he always says he has a wife and children to support and can't slack off." A look flashed across Leah's eyes as she spoke, but she quickly hid it. Hannah keenly picked up on that look, and her unease grew stronger. "Right, sister-in-law, Mr. Ben asked me to ask you if you'd like to join us for the company party tomorrow?" Leah asked. "I haven't fully recovered yet, and my child needs me." Hannah shook her head. "That's a shame, but your health is the most important thing. Mr. Ben will understand." Leah stood up. "I won't bother you anymore. Get some rest." After sending Leah away, my mother-in-law kept praising her, saying, "This young lady is so sensible. No wonder Ben thinks so highly of her. With such a capable assistant, Ben's career will surely flourish." Hannah didn't respond, just held her daughter tightly. She felt that Leah's gaze earlier had been a little strange, but she couldn't put her finger on it. It was 11 p.m. when Ben finally came home. He tiptoed into the bedroom and saw Hannah still feeding the baby. "Not asleep yet," he whispered. "Yen has been crying all this time. He might be hungry." Hannah looked up at him and said, "Your secretary came by today and said to send you some supplements." "Well, Leah said she was coming to see you, so I told her to buy something." Ben took off his jacket. "How are you feeling? Are you feeling okay?" This was their only conversation recently, aside from asking about each other's health, it was all about the children. I'm fine. Hannah bit her lip. Ben, haven't we had a proper chat in a long time? Ben paused for a moment, then continued changing his clothes. The company has been really busy lately, but it'll be better after this period. What about tomorrow's annual meeting? You should stay home and rest. The annual meeting isn't suitable for your current physical condition. Ben interrupted her, I'm going to take a shower. Watching his back as he entered the bathroom, Hannah felt a pang of sadness. When had it become so difficult for them to even communicate with each other? After her daughter had eaten her fill, Hannah gently laid her back in her crib. Looking out the window, she saw a small red car parked downstairs, the same one Leah had driven in that afternoon. The car was still there, which meant Leah hadn't left yet. It was so late. What was she doing? Hannah's doubts grew heavier. She picked up her phone, hesitated, and sent Ben a message. Are you really working overtime at the office today? Soon, Ben replied, of course, what's wrong? Hannah looked at the reply and felt a mixture of emotions. If he was really at work, why was Leah's car still parked downstairs? Early the next morning, Ben left early. Hannah was lying on the windowsill and saw that the little red car was gone. Hannah, come eat breakfast, her grandmother called from the kitchen. Hannah carried her daughter to the dining room, where her mother-in-law had already prepared millet porridge and steamed eggs. Mom, did you hear a car downstairs last night? Hannah asked tentatively. No, I slept soundly. What's wrong? Nothing, just asking. Hannah lowered her head to eat her porridge, but her mind was still on last night's events. After breakfast, her mother-in-law went to buy groceries, leaving Hannah at home alone with the children. She suddenly remembered something, took out her phone, searched for Ben's company address, and then checked the route from home to the company. If Ben really came back from work, he would never have taken the road below their apartment building. And Leah's car was parked downstairs yesterday until this morning. The more Hannah thought about it, the more wrong it felt. She opened Ben's WeChat moments and found that almost all of his recent posts were work-related, with no mention of her or the children. The old Ben couldn't wait to post her photos every day, even bragging about the dishes she cooked on social media. Now he hasn't even posted a single photo of his daughter. Ding dong, the doorbell rang. Hannah peered through the peephole and saw Leah again, her heart racing. Sister-in-law, it's Leah. Mr. Ben asked me to pick up some documents. Hannah opened the door. What documents? It was a contract that Mr. Ben had left in his study. He said he had forgotten to take it with him and needed it today. Leah smiled naturally. Hannah let her in and followed her to the study. Leah walked skillfully to the desk and took a document out of the drawer. This action startled Hannah. How did Leah know which drawer the file was in? I found it. Leah turned around with the file in her hand. I won't bother you anymore. Wait. Hannah called after her. How did you know the file was in that drawer? Leah paused for a moment, then smiled and said, Mr. Ben told me yesterday that the file was in the second drawer on the right. Really? But you took it from the first drawer on the left. Hannah stared into her eyes. Leah's face changed. I made a mistake. I just saw the document and took it. Didn't you leave last night? Hannah asked directly. I don't know what you're talking about. Leah clutched the document tightly in her hand. Your car was parked downstairs all night last night and didn't leave until this morning. Hannah stepped closer to her. Leah's face turned completely pale. Sister-in-law, you've misunderstood. I was just... You didn't leave at all last night, did you? Hannah's voice began to tremble. You and Ben, you too. Enough. Leah suddenly exclaimed, then realized she had overreacted and quickly lowered her voice. Sister-in-law, I know you just gave birth and your emotions may be unstable, but you can't jump to conclusions. Mr. Ben and I are just colleagues. Work relationship? Then why are you so familiar with this house? Why do you know where the documents are kept? Hannah hugged her daughter, her voice getting louder and louder. The daughter was frightened and started crying loudly. "Sister-in-law, please calm down." Leah looked at the crying child, a hint of impatience flashing in her eyes. "The child is scared." Just then, Ben's phone rang. Leah glanced at her phone and answered the call. "Mr. Ben, I've got the documents." "What?" "Okay, I'll head back right away." Leah hung up the phone and said to Hannah, "Mr. Ben wants me to return to the office immediately. The contract is urgently needed." She hurriedly left with the documents, leaving Hannah alone in the study. Hannah looked around and suddenly noticed a few long strands of hair on her desk. They were clearly not her color. She picked up the strands and examined them closely. They were indeed Leah's hair color. This study is usually only used by Ben, she rarely comes in here. When did this hair fall here? Hannah's heart was torn apart as she sat on the sofa holding her crying daughter. She suddenly remembered what Ben had said to her before they got married, "Hannah, I will love only you for the rest of my life, no matter what happens." But now everything had changed. She took out her phone and sent Ben a message, "We need to have a serious talk tonight." Soon, Ben replied, "I have a business dinner tonight and might be back late. Let's talk about it tomorrow." Hannah looked at the reply and finally couldn't hold back her tears. How long had it been since he had put her first? Her daughter gradually stopped crying and looked at her quietly. Those eyes were very much like Ben's, clear and innocent. "Yen, what should we do?" Hannah gently stroked her daughter's face, her voice choked with emotion. In the afternoon, her mother-in-law returned from shopping and saw Hannah's swollen eyes. She asked with concern, "What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell?" "It's okay, maybe she didn't get enough rest." Hannah didn't want her mother-in-law to worry. "Then go take a nap, I'll watch Yen," her mother-in-law said tenderly. Hannah returned to her bedroom and lay down on the bed, but she couldn't fall asleep. She took out her phone and wanted to check Ben's location, but found that he had already turned off location sharing. Previously, their phones were transparent to each other, they knew each other's passwords and shared their locations. Now, everything has changed. In the evening, Hannah received a message from an unknown number, "Want to know where your husband is right now?" Hannah's heart skipped a beat, and she replied, "Who are you?" The other person quickly replied, "A kind person. Let's meet tomorrow afternoon at 3 o'clock at the South Mountain Coffee Shop. Remember, don't tell anyone." Hannah stared at the message, feeling a mixture of emotions. She wanted to know the truth, but she was afraid to face it. The next afternoon, Hannah made an excuse to go out and went to South Mountain Cafe. She chose a corner seat and sat down, waiting anxiously. At 3 o'clock sharp, a middle-aged woman walked over. "Are you Ben's wife?" The woman sat down directly across from her. "Who are you? Why did you ask me to meet you?" Hannah looked at the woman in front of her, who was about 40 years old, dressed appropriately, and looked very capable. "My name is Willa. I'm Leah's former colleague." The woman took her phone out of her bag. "I think there are some things you should know." Willa opened her phone album and handed it to Hannah. "These photos were taken last month." Hannah took the phone and froze when she saw the first photo. In the photo, Ben and Leah are dining at an upscale restaurant, sitting close together with Ben's hand resting on Leah's shoulder. "Keep scrolling," Willa's voice is calm. Hannah trembled as she continued to flip through the photos, each one stabbing her heart like a knife. There were photos of Ben serving food to Leah, the two of them snuggling closely in a movie theater, and them shopping for matching outfits at a mall. What she couldn't accept was the last photo, of Ben and Leah hugging goodbye at the hotel entrance. When was this photo taken?" Hannah's voice was barely audible. "From the 7th month of your pregnancy, I noticed their relationship. Leah was my former subordinate, and I know what she is like." Willa sighed. "I didn't want to get involved, but seeing you just after giving birth and still in the dark, I couldn't bear it." Hannah clutched her phone tightly, tears streaming down her face. Why is he doing this to me?" Leah is a manipulative woman who targets married men. She's seduced several married male colleagues before. Willa handed her a tissue. Your husband must have been taken advantage of while you were pregnant. While I was pregnant. Hannah recalled Ben's behavior during her pregnancy, when he had already started to distance himself from her. What are you going to do? Willa asked. Hannah wiped her tears. I don't know. I have no idea what to do. If you want to save this marriage, you have to take the initiative and stop being so passive, Willa said. They're meeting at the Blue Bay Hotel tonight, room 1208. Hannah was startled. How did you know? Leah likes to drop hints on her social media. She just posted a status update with her location tagged at Blue Bay Hotel. Willa handed her phone back. The opportunity is yours. Whether you seize it or not is up to you. After leaving the cafe, Hannah sat in the car and cried her eyes out. She recalled her wedding 3 years ago, when Ben held her hand and said, for better or for worse, in sickness and in health, I will love you, cherish you, and protect you. But now those promises are nothing but a joke. At 7 p.m., Hannah told her mother-in-law that she was going to see a friend, then drove to the Blue Bay Hotel. She sat in the car for a long time, and Ben sent her a message on her phone, I might be out late tonight, so you should get some rest. Lies, all lies. Hannah walked into the hotel lobby and took the elevator to the 12th floor. Room 1208 was at the end of the corridor. Her hands were shaking as she walked over. She took a few deep breaths and knocked on the door. Who is it? Leah's voice came from inside. Room service. Hannah whispered. The door opened, and Leah stood at the doorway wearing only a bathrobe. When she saw Hannah, her face turned pale instantly. Sister-in-law. How could you? Hannah pushed her aside and entered the room, seeing Ben sitting on the edge of the bed wearing only a shirt, his expression equally shocked. Hannah, let me explain. Ben hurriedly stood up. Explain what? Explain why you're in a hotel? Explain why you lied to me about being out on business? Hannah's voice trembled, but her tone remained calm. It's not what you think. Ben tried to move closer to her. Not what I thought. Hannah took her phone out of her bag and pulled up the photos. Then how do you explain these photos? Ben saw the photos and his expression completely changed. Leah panicked and said, Sister-in-law, we were just what? Just a work meeting at a hotel? Hannah sneered, Ben, we've been married for 3 years. I thought I knew you, but I never imagined you were this kind of person. Hannah, I admit I made a mistake, but I can change. We can start over. Ben wanted to take her hand. Hannah dodged him. Start over? When did you start betraying me? When I was pregnant? Or even earlier? Ben couldn't say a word. Forget it, I don't want to hear your explanations. Hannah turned to leave. Ben, think carefully. Do you want this woman, or do you want me and our daughter? With that, she left the hotel without looking back. Sitting in the car, Hannah completely broke down. She hugged the steering wheel and cried her heart out. Her phone rang. It was Ben calling. She glanced at it and hung up immediately. Then she turned off her phone and drove home. Back home, her mother-in-law was putting her daughter to sleep. Seeing Hannah's red and swollen eyes, her mother-in-law asked with concern, What's wrong? Is something wrong with your friend? Nothing, I'm just a little tired. I'm going to rest first. Hannah forced a smile. She returned to the bedroom and looked at the pillow on the bed, still carrying Ben's scent, her heart aching. This home, this marriage, was there any point in continuing? Ben hadn't come home all night. Hannah sat in the living room until dawn, her daughter Yen sleeping peacefully in her arms. Her mother-in-law saw her when she got up early to cook and asked in surprise, Hannah, what are you doing here? Didn't you sleep all night? I couldn't sleep, Hannah said hoarsely. Where's Ben? Why isn't he back yet? The grandmother looked around. Hannah didn't answer, just looked down at her daughter. Yen opened her eyes, her dark eyes darted around, and when she saw her mother, she giggled. Such an innocent smile only made Hannah's heart ache even more. At 10 a.m., Ben finally returned. He looked haggard, his eyes bloodshot. When he saw Hannah, he hesitated to speak. "Mom, please go back to your room and rest," Ben said to his mother-in-law. The mother-in-law looked at her son, then at her daughter-in-law, sensing that something was wrong, but she went back to her room anyway. Ben sat across from Hannah and remained silent for a long time before finally speaking. "Hannah, about yesterday. I want to talk to you about it." "What is there to talk about?" Hannah still held her daughter and didn't look at him. "I admit that Leah and I did have an inappropriate relationship, but it wasn't love, just a momentary lapse of judgment." Ben's voice was low. "I never thought about leaving you and the children." Hannah finally looked up at him. "A momentary lapse of judgment? The one that started when I was 7 months pregnant?" Ben froze. "How did you know?" "So it's true." Hannah smiled bitterly. "Ben, when I needed you most, you were out there seeking thrills. I'm carrying your child and enduring all the discomforts of pregnancy, and you're dating other women and having sex with them. I never meant to hurt you, I just..." Ben tried to explain. "What is this? Just because I'm pregnant and my body has changed, I'm not attractive anymore? Just because I vomit every day and am swollen, I'm ugly?" Hannah's tears flowed again. "So you went and found a young, beautiful woman?" "No." Ben got impatient. "Hannah, I admit I made a mistake, but I promise I won't do it again." "Promise?" Hannah interrupted him. "You promised me the same thing 3 years ago at our wedding, that you would love me forever. How much is your promise worth?" Ben was speechless. Hannah stood up, hugged her daughter, and walked toward the bedroom. "I'm tired and want to rest." "Hannah." Ben wanted to follow her. "Don't come," Hannah said without turning back. "I need some time alone." In the afternoon, Hannah's best friend Roxy came to visit her. As soon as Roxy walked in, she noticed something was wrong. "What happened? Why are your eyes so swollen?" Roxy asked worriedly. Hannah finally couldn't hold back and told Roxy everything that had happened yesterday. "What?" Roxy was furious. "This Ben is a scumbag. He cheated on you while you were pregnant. What good is a man like that? But Yan is still so young." Hannah looked at her daughter in her arms. "What's wrong with being young? You can grow up healthy without a father. It's better than following a cheating father." Roxy was disappointed in Hannah. "Hannah, wake up. This man doesn't deserve your forgiveness." "I know, but we've been together for 3 years, and we have this home." "Feelings? What feelings? Did he think about your feelings when he cheated on you?" Roxy grabbed her hand. "Hannah, I'm asking you, if a man treated you well right now, would you fall for him?" Hannah shook her head. "No, I only have eyes for Ben." "But he doesn't only have eyes for you." Roxy stamped her foot in anger. "You're faithful to him, but he cheats on you. What's the point of this marriage?" Just then, Ben walked in. "Roxy." He greeted her awkwardly. Roxy was angry when she saw him. "Ben, you have the nerve to come back?" "Roxy, this is between me and Hannah." Ben tried to calm things down. "Between you and me? You cheated on me, you were with another woman while Hannah was pregnant, and now you want to act like nothing happened?" Roxy accused him bluntly. Ben's face turned ugly. "I admit I was wrong, but I'll fix it. This doesn't need outsiders getting involved." "Outsiders? I'm Hannah's best friend, and I can't stand your trashy behavior." Roxy stood up. "Hannah, come home with me. I'll take care of you and your daughter." "Roxy." Hannah looked at her awkwardly, then at Ben. "Hannah won't go with you." Ben's tone was firm. "This is her home." "Home? This is her home? Then why are you looking for other women outside?" Roxy sneered. "What do you think this home is?" Ben was flustered but still argued. "I've broken up with Leah and won't see her again." "Broken up?" Roxy took out her phone. "Then how do you explain this WeChat post?" She handed her phone to Hannah, showing her a post Leah had shared on her social media feed 10 minutes earlier. some people are destined to be just passers-by, while others are destined to be in our lives. The post was accompanied by a photo of her and Ben, with the location tagged at a cafe. Hannah saw this WeChat post and felt her heart sink. Ben saw it too, and his face turned pale. This wasn't taken today. Wasn't it taken today? But the location shows it was taken at 2 p.m. today. Roxy said coldly, Ben, do you think we're all stupid? Ben was speechless because he had just seen Leah and wanted to end their relationship completely, but he didn't expect Leah to post something like that on her social media. Hannah, do you still believe him? Roxy asked. Hannah looked down at her daughter, tears falling onto the child's clothes. That night, Hannah made a decision. She packed some essentials and her daughter's belongings, preparing to leave the house. Where are you going? Ben saw her packing her bags and panicked. I'm going to stay at my mom's for a few days. I need to calm down. Hannah didn't look at him and continued packing. Hannah, we can talk this out. Don't leave. Ben tried to stop her. Talk it out? What else is there to talk about? Hannah picked up her daughter. Ben, give me some time, and give yourself some time to figure out what you really want. I want you and the child. Ben was desperate. I swear, I really broke up with Leah. I only saw her today to make things clear. But your WeChat moments show that you two are very much in love. Hannah smiled bitterly. Ben, I'm tired, really tired. From the moment I got pregnant until now, I've been wondering why you've become so cold. It turns out it's because you have someone else. I didn't abandon you. I just what? Just want your wife, children, and lover? Hannah looked at him. Ben, there's no such thing as a free lunch in this world. Hearing the arguing, her mother-in-law came out. What's going on? Hannah, where are you going with the child? Mom, I'm going to stay at my parents' house for a few days, Hannah said to her mother-in-law. Why go back to your parents' house? This is your home. The mother-in-law looked at her son in confusion, then at her daughter-in-law. Ben didn't dare tell his mother the truth, so he just said, Mom, Hannah wants to go back to her parents' house. Let her go back and stay for a few days. But Yan is still so young. The grandmother looked at her granddaughter with pity. I'll take good care of her. Hannah's eyes filled with tears. Mom, I'm sorry. She hugged her daughter and left the house with her luggage. Ben wanted to follow her, but Hannah stopped him. Don't follow me. Let me be alone. When Hannah returned to her parents' home late at night with her child, her parents were very surprised. What happened? Did you have a fight with Ben? Her mother asked worriedly. Hannah couldn't control her emotions anymore and hugged her daughter and cried. What happened? Her father was also anxious. Hannah told her parents what had happened, and the two elderly people were furious after hearing it. This Ben. I knew he was too smooth from the start, and now he's turned out to be a real jerk. Zach was so angry he slammed his fist on the table. Hannah, you did the right thing. You can't stay with a man like that. Lara hugged her daughter tenderly. Mom supports you in getting a divorce. Mom. Hannah choked up. Daughter, your father betrayed me when I was young, so I know how you feel. Lara's eyes welled up with tears. But some things are a matter of principle and cannot be compromised. Hannah looked at her mother in surprise. Dad also. That was all in the past. Zach looked unhappy, but I stopped myself in time and didn't do anything more extreme. Ben's actions were blatant infidelity, which is completely different. The next day, Ben made countless calls, but Hannah didn't answer. He sent her many messages, all apologizing and begging her to come back. In the afternoon, Ben went straight to Hannah's house. Mom and Dad, I'm here to take Hannah and the kids home, Ben said earnestly. Go home? Zach sneered, you have the nerve to mention home? Dad, I know I was wrong, but I truly regret it, Ben said. I've completely cut ties with that woman and will never make the same mistake again. Repent? Why didn't you think about my daughter when you were cheating on me? She was carrying your child, and you were out looking for other women. Are you even human? Lara was shaking with anger. Mom, I admit I'm a jerk, but please give me a chance to make things right. Ben pleaded, I promise I'll treat Hannah and the kids well from now on. Promise? Zach stood up, what's your promise worth? At that moment, Hannah came downstairs from upstairs holding her daughter. Ben saw her and his eyes lit up with hope. Hannah, let's go home. Ben reached out to take the child. Hannah dodged him. Ben, I made it very clear yesterday that I need time to calm down. But the longer you calm down, the deeper the rift between us will become, Ben said anxiously. We can solve any problems slowly, but please don't separate. Solve it? Hannah sneered, how do you plan to solve it? Turn back time and make it so you never cheated? I can compensate you. Ben said with difficulty. Compensation? What do you think can compensate for your betrayal? Hannah shook her head, Ben, some things can't be undone once they've happened. So you want a divorce? Ben's face turned pale. Hannah was silent for a long time, then said, I haven't made up my mind yet, but we do need to separate for a while. No way. I don't agree to a separation. Ben became agitated. Hannah, we're married. We should work through our problems together. Contradiction? Zach was furious, you call cheating a contradiction? You call betrayal a contradiction? Dad, I admit I was wrong. Wrong? Wrong means you can start over? Lara pointed at his nose and scolded him, do you know how much my daughter gave up for you? She had a great job, but she quit to stay home and be a full-time housewife for you. During her pregnancy, you were indifferent to her, and she thought it was because you were under a lot of pressure at work. After she gave birth and was recovering, you didn't even have time to spend with her. It turns out you were busy going on dates. Ben hung his head in shame. Mom, don't say that. Hannah sighed, Ben, go home. Give me a month. I'll give you my answer in a month. A month? Ben was anxious. That long? Too long? Never mind, forget I said anything. Hannah turned to leave. No. 1 month is 1 month. Ben quickly agreed, but Yen. Can I see her? Hannah stopped in her tracks, her daughter giggling in her arms, waving her little hands as if trying to grab something. She's your daughter, of course you can see her. Hannah handed her daughter to him, but you can only look, you can't take her away. Ben took his daughter, looked at her innocent smile, and his eyes welled up with tears. Yen, Dad is sorry to you and Mom. The daughter seemed to sense her father's emotions, stopped laughing, and stared at him with wide eyes. 10 minutes later, Ben reluctantly handed his daughter back to Hannah. I'll wait for your answer. Watching him walk away, Hannah felt a mix of emotions. During the first week of separation, Ben visited his daughter every day. He always brought various baby items and Hannah's favorite foods, hoping to win her over. However, Hannah remained cold and distant, only allowing him to see the child and refusing to say a word. That day, Ben came again, carrying a large bag. These are Yan's new clothes and your favorite durian pastries, he said carefully. Hannah didn't even look at them. Just put them there. Ben walked over to his daughter, looked at the little one sleeping, and whispered, Yan has grown a little more, her face is rounder. Hannah replied briefly. Hannah, I have something to tell you. Ben hesitated and said, I've fired Leah. Hannah finally looked up at him, and then? Then there was nothing. I'll never see her again. Ben said, I even changed my phone number and deleted all my female friends on social media. That's what you should do, Hannah said flatly. You don't need to report back to me. Ben looked at her cold expression and felt his heart break. Hannah, are you really not giving me any chance? Chance? Hannah sneered, I gave you 3 years. How did you treat me? I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but... No buts. Hannah interrupted him, Ben, do you know what hurts me the most? It's not that you cheated on me, it's that you lied to me. If you had just told me you didn't love me anymore, I would have been hurt, but at least I wouldn't feel like I was being fooled. Ben froze. When did I ever deceive you? From the moment I became pregnant, every time you came home late, every time you said you were working overtime, every time you were cold to me, you were deceiving me. Hannah's tears finally began to flow. Do you know how foolish I am? I'm still making excuses for your indifference, convincing myself that you're just under a lot of pressure at work. Hannah. Ben wants to get closer to her. Don't come over here. Hannah took a step back. When I see you now, I remember those photos, I remember the pictures of you and her together. Ben stopped in his tracks, his face contorted with pain. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If apologies were effective, there would be less suffering in the world. Hannah wiped away her tears. Please leave. I do not wish to see you again. But Yen. You may visit her regularly, but do not attempt to speak with me. Ben looked at her deeply, then turned and left. After the door closed, Hannah finally couldn't hold back her tears and burst into tears. Her mother Lara came out of the kitchen and hugged her tenderly. Daughter, don't cry. He doesn't deserve your tears. Mom, am I being too cold-hearted? He's already admitted his mistake, but I still can't forgive him. Hannah choked out. Cold-hearted? Lara shook her head. Daughter, you're not cold-hearted at all. You're just protecting yourself and the children. But I still can't let go of him. It's normal to feel this way, after all, you've been together for 3 years. But Hannah, you have to remember that some men, once they cross the line, can never go back to the way they were before. Lara said earnestly. Even if you forgive him now, you will always worry that he will cheat on you again. What is the point of living like that? Hannah knew her mother was right, but the pain in her heart did not lessen. The second week, Ben's mother came. Hannah, why are you doing this? A couple arguing isn't something to hold a grudge over overnight. The mother-in-law pleaded earnestly. Ben already knows he was wrong. Just forgive him this once. Mom, this isn't just a normal argument. Hannah hugged her daughter and said calmly, Ben cheated on me. Her mother-in-law was stunned. Cheated? This can't be true. Ben has always been such a good boy. Being well-behaved as a child doesn't mean you'll be well-behaved as an adult. Lara said from the side, Mother-in-law, your son went too far in this matter. The mother-in-law's face changed. Even if that really happened, men make mistakes. As long as he can turn back, it's fine. Look back? Hannah sneered. Mom, if one day your father-in-law cheats on you, will you also tell yourself this? The mother-in-law was speechless. Hannah, I know you feel wronged, but you still have Yen. The mother-in-law looked at her granddaughter in her arms. Children can't grow up without a father. Children from single-parent families can still grow up healthy, Hannah insisted. It's better than living in a family full of lies. The mother-in-law tried to persuade her further, but Lara interrupted her. Mother-in-law, please don't try to persuade her. This is your son's fault. Hannah has already been very forgiving by choosing to separate rather than divorce immediately. In the end, the mother-in-law was unable to persuade Hannah and left in disappointment. In the third week, Hannah received a package containing a 10-page handwritten letter. The handwriting was familiar, it was Ben's. The letter began with their first meeting and detailed every moment of the past 3 years. He wrote about how he was moved by her kindness, how he fell in love with her smile, and how he was so excited at the wedding that his hands were shaking. Then he wrote about the process of cheating. He admitted that he began to waver while Hannah was pregnant, not because she wasn't beautiful enough, but because he suddenly realized that he was going to be a father and felt enormous pressure. Leah's appearance gave him the perfect opportunity to escape reality. Finally, he wrote, Hannah, I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I hope you know that no matter what, you are the love of my life. If only time could turn back, I would rather never have met Leah. I would spend the rest of my life making up for the harm I caused you, even if you never forgive me. I will always love you and Yen. After reading the letter, Hannah cried all night long. The month was up. That evening, Ben arrived at Hannah's house, looking nervous. Hannah, have you made up your mind? He asked cautiously. Hannah sat on the sofa, holding her daughter in her arms, and remained silent for a long time before speaking. Ben, I want to ask you a few questions. You ask, and I will answer truthfully. First, did you have a relationship with Leah? Ben's face darkened, but he nodded anyway, yes. Hannah closed her eyes and took a few deep breaths. Second, if I hadn't found out, would you have come clean on your own? This question left Ben silent for a long time. Finally, he shook his head, maybe, maybe not. Third, do you think we can go back to the way we were? I hope so. Ben's voice was very soft. Hannah opened her eyes and looked at him. Ben, thank you for your honesty. My answer is. Ben waited nervously. Divorce. The two words hit Ben like a bolt from the blue. His face turned pale, and he swayed slightly. Hannah, think about it again. I've been thinking about this for a month. Hannah's tone was calm. I've been thinking a lot this month. I've realized that I can't trust you anymore. Whenever I think about you two together, I feel sick. I can change. I can prove it with my whole life. Ben, some things can never be mended once they're broken. Hannah stood up. Our marriage is dead. Forcing it to continue will only cause us more pain. What about Yen? Can you bear to let her grow up without a complete family? Ben made a last-ditch effort. She will have complete love, even if it comes from two different families. Hannah looked at her daughter in her arms. I won't stop you from visiting her, but we can't continue as a couple. Ben was completely desperate. Looking at Hannah's resolute expression, he knew he had truly lost her. I understand, he said, his voice choked with emotion. I will cooperate with the divorce proceedings and pay child support on time. Thank you, Hannah nodded. Ben took one last look at his daughter and turned away. This time, he didn't look back. A week later, the two officially finalized their divorce. Ben voluntarily gave up his share of the property and only asked to visit his daughter once a week. Hannah agreed. On the day of the divorce, Ben said with red eyes, Hannah, I'm sorry. Hannah looked at him, her heart filled with mixed emotions. Ben, I hope we can all start over. You'll start over, but I never will. Ben smiled bitterly, you'll always be the only woman in my heart. With that, he turned and left the Civil Affairs Bureau. Hannah watched his back, and tears finally began to fall. Their 3-year marriage had come to an end. The first month after the divorce was peaceful for Hannah. She lived with her daughter at her mother's house, spending her days taking care of her child, helping her mother with housework, and occasionally meeting friends to chat. Ben kept his promise and visited his daughter every Saturday. He always brought lots of things with him, but never stayed long. He would see his daughter and then leave. Yen is so beautiful, she looks more and more like you. Roxy hugged the child, thank goodness she didn't inherit her father's philandering genes. Roxy, don't say that in front of the child. Hannah stopped her. What did she say? She couldn't understand. Roxy looked at Hannah, you look much better lately. It seems like divorce was the right choice. Hannah smiled bitterly, really? I feel like a zombie. That's because you haven't completely let go yet. When you meet someone new, you'll see how beautiful the world is. Someone new? Hannah shook her head. Right now, I just want to raise Yen well. I don't want to think about anything else. But you're only 27. Are you really going to spend the rest of your life alone? Roxy said worriedly, Hannah, you can't lose faith in all men because of one jerk. Hannah didn't answer, just hugged her daughter and rocked her gently. Just then, the doorbell rang. It must be Ben coming to see the kids, Hannah said as she got up to open the door. But standing outside was not Ben, but a strange young man. Excuse me, are you Miss Hannah? The man asked politely. I'm Sam, a lawyer from the law firm. A man handed her a business card, a gentleman asked me to handle some matters. Hannah took the card and looked at it, what kind of matters? This is regarding child support for your daughter, Yen. The client would like to set up an education fund for the child, depositing $50,000 into it every month from now until the child reaches adulthood. 50,000? Hannah was surprised. Isn't that too much? The client said that this is his responsibility. Sam said, in addition, he would like to purchase a property for you, and you can choose the address yourself. No, thank you. We're doing just fine. Hannah refused. You don't need to pay that much in child support. The amount the court ordered is enough. Sam looked at her with a hint of admiration in his eyes. Hannah, I have to say, my client is very lucky to have had you. Do you know Ben? Not really, just a little from this case. Sam sighed. He's very regretful and in pain. That was the path he chose for himself. Hannah spoke calmly. Please tell him that we don't need his guilt or compensation. All we ask is that he pay reasonable child support on time. Sam nodded. I'll pass it on. He turned to leave, then turned back and said, Hannah, I believe you will meet someone who truly cherishes you. After Sam left, Roxy asked gossipily, who is he? He's quite handsome, and he's a lawyer. Should you consider him? What are you thinking? He's the lawyer Ben hired. Hannah said unhappily. That doesn't matter. Lawyers have a promising future, Roxy continued to encourage her. Besides, the way he looked at you just now was very special. He obviously has feelings for you. Don't talk nonsense. Hannah blushed. He was just being polite. A woman's intuition tells me he's definitely interested in you. Roxy smiled mysteriously. Should I get his contact info for you? Roxy. Hannah was furious. If you keep messing around, I won't talk to you anymore. That night, Hannah sat alone on the balcony looking at the stars, holding her sleeping daughter in her arms. She remembered Sam's words, I believe you will meet someone who truly cherishes you. Would anyone still cherish her? 2 months later, Hannah found a job. She applied for a copywriting position at a cultural media company, which offered flexible working hours that allowed her to take care of her daughter. On her first day at work, she encountered someone unexpected, Sam. Hannah? Sam saw her and looked surprised. What are you doing here? I'm here for work. Who are you? Hannah was also surprised. I'm the legal advisor for this company. I'm here to handle some contract matters. Sam smiled. What a coincidence. It was indeed a coincidence. Hannah nodded. Are you working now? What about the child? Sam asked with concern. My mother is helping to look after him, Hannah replied simply. If you need any help, feel free to contact me. Sam handed her a business card. This is my personal number. Hannah took the card, feeling a little strange. Work quickly got back on track. Hannah found that she really liked her job, and her colleagues were very friendly. What surprised her most was that Sam often came to the office and always found an opportunity to chat with her. Hannah, is Sam interested in you? Lee, a young colleague, asked her quietly. No, he's just being friendly, Hannah denied. Friendly? He wasn't that friendly to others. Lee smiled ambiguously, and he's so handsome and a lawyer, he's definitely a catch. Hannah didn't respond, but she did feel a little stirred inside. That afternoon, Sam came to the office again. After finishing his work, he went to Hannah's desk. Hannah, it's the weekend. Are you free? He asked. What is it? Hannah looked up at him. I'd like to invite you for coffee and chat. Sam was a little nervous. Sure, if it's convenient for you. Sure. Hannah thought about it and agreed. The two went to the coffee shop downstairs from the company. Sam ordered 2 cups of coffee, looking a little nervous. What do you want from me? Hannah spoke up first. Actually, I'd like to get to know you better, Sam said honestly. Ever since I first met you, I've been impressed by your strength and independence. Hannah's heart skipped a beat. He smiled. I know you've just gotten divorced and may not be ready to start a new relationship, but I hope I'll have the opportunity to take care of you and Yen. Sam, I really appreciate your kindness, but I really don't want to think about relationships right now, Hannah said sincerely. I understand. Sam nodded. I'm not in a hurry, we can wait. But it's okay, we can start as friends. Sam interrupted her. I just want to be by your side and help you share some of the burdens of life. Hannah looked into his sincere eyes and felt a warm glow in her heart. Well, let's just be friends for now. She finally agreed. From then on, Sam often invited Hannah out to dinner, to the movies, and shopping. He was also very kind to Yen, always bringing gifts for the child. This Sam guy is pretty cool. Lara said to her daughter, he's much more reliable than Ben. Mom, we're just friends, Hannah explained. Friends? Who uses friends like this? Lara laughed. Daughter, I think he's sincere. You can consider it. Hannah did indeed have feelings for Sam, but whenever she thought of Ben, she felt afraid. That day, Sam took her to an art exhibition. Standing in front of an oil painting depicting motherly love, he suddenly said, Hannah, I want to formally express my feelings for you. Hannah's heart raced. Sam. I know you've been hurt, and I know you have reservations about love. But I want to tell you that not all men are unfaithful. Sam looked at her earnestly. I am willing to spend the rest of my life proving that when you love someone, you should give them your all. Hannah's eyes welled up with tears. Sam, you're a good man, but You don't need to give me an answer now, Sam said gently. I'll wait as long as it takes until you're ready to believe in love. Just then, Hannah saw a familiar figure. Ben was standing not far away, looking at them with a pained expression. Ben saw Hannah and Sam together, and his heart was torn apart. He had originally come to this art exhibition to find inspiration, but he didn't expect to run into his ex-wife on a date with another man. Seeing how gentle and considerate Sam was towards Hannah, Ben wanted to rush over and pull the man away. But he knew he had no right to do so. Mr. Ben? Sam also spotted him and walked over. What a coincidence, you're here to see the art exhibition too. Ben forced himself to remain calm. Yes, what a coincidence. Hannah stood behind Sam, not saying anything, but her expression was clearly uneasy. Then we won't disturb you. Sam said politely, Mr. Ben, take your time. He pulled Hannah's hand to leave, but Ben couldn't help calling after them, Hannah, wait. Hannah stopped and turned to look at him. Is something wrong? I wanted to ask how Yen is doing. Ben made an excuse. She's fine, Hannah replied briefly. The atmosphere became awkward. Sam looked at Ben, then at Hannah, and said, I'll go get some water. You two talk. He tactfully walked away, leaving the former couple alone. Are you doing well now? Ben asked cautiously. I'm fine, Hannah replied coldly. That's Sam. Is he good to you? This isn't your concern. Hannah is ready to leave. Hannah, I just want to make sure you're truly happy, Ben said, his voice breaking. If you're happy, then I'll be at peace. Hannah stopped in her tracks and turned to look at him. Ben, we're divorced. We don't need to worry about each other's lives anymore. I know, but I can't help but care about you. Ben smiled bitterly. Seeing you with someone else hurts me, but at the same time, I hope you can find true happiness. True happiness? Hannah sneered. Do you think you ever gave me true happiness? Ben was speechless. Ben, let bygones be bygones. We all need to move on. Hannah took one last look at him. I hope you find happiness too. With that, she turned and walked toward Sam. Ben watched her back, his heart filled with mixed emotions. I'm back with the water. Sam handed Hannah a bottle of water. Are you okay? I'm fine. Let's go. Hannah forced a smile. The two left the art exhibition, and Ben stayed behind, staring blankly at the oil painting depicting motherly love. In the painting, the mother held her child tenderly, her eyes filled with deep affection. He thought of Hannah holding Yen, and his heart ached so much he couldn't breathe. He took out his phone and sent Hannah a message. If Sam really cares about you, I wish you both the best. But if he dares to hurt you, I won't let him get away with it. Soon, Hannah replied, "Thanks, but I've already learned to protect myself." Ben looked at the reply and knew that Hannah really didn't need his protection anymore. That night, Sam drove Hannah home. "You seemed a bit upset after seeing your ex-husband today," he asked with concern. "One thing," Hannah said honestly, "but it's okay now." "Hannah, I won't force you to forget the past, but I want you to know that someone is willing to walk with you into the future." Sam stopped the car and looked at her seriously. Hannah felt warm inside. "Sam, thank you for understanding." "Then, can we take our relationship to the next level?" Sam asked cautiously. Hannah remained silent for a long time before finally nodding. "We can give it a try." Sam was as happy as a child. He reached out and gently stroked Hannah's cheek. "I will make you believe in the beauty of love again." 6 months later, Sam proposed to Hannah. He filled the lobby of the company where she worked with roses, got down on one knee, and pulled out a ring. "Hannah, will you marry me? I swear to love you and Yen with all my heart for the rest of my life." Hannah looked at the man who had done so much for her, and tears streamed down her face. "I will," she said. The colleagues who had gathered around burst into enthusiastic applause. Sam excitedly put the ring on her finger and hugged her tightly. Just then, Hannah spotted a familiar figure in the crowd. Ben was standing across the street, quietly watching everything unfold. There was no anger on his face, only deep blessings and unmistakable pain. Their eyes met in the air. Ben nodded to her, then turned and walked away. At that moment, Hannah knew that it was truly over between her and Ben.